Well, we know what they did last year. The owner said it was a transition year, and they made the playoffs. Transition year, first year starter at quarterback in Jalen Hurts, and they made the playoffs. Now you add to that on defense, Hassan Reddick, 21 and a half sacks the last 2 years. Jordan Davis, who I don't know we've ever seen a guy like him, just an absolute monster. And then at the linebacker level, the Chargers leading tackler, Kaiser White. They obviously got Nakobe Dean. Then to get, James Bradbury to play corner opposite Darius Slay. And then the biggest move of all, obviously, was the trade for A.J. Brown.
I'm telling you, 3.5 in the opener for the Eagles going into Ford Field. Don't go to sleep on that. And that's why that number is where it is, because everyone sees that they're getting better. All right. I love talking to Ross Tucker, man. Ross Tucker Football Podcast. You can get all the information at his podcast at Ross Tucker NFL. We'll also talk about myfrontpagestory.com, the lead story on it. We'll get that here in a second. But Ross, man, am I right when I say that about that Lions team? They're trending in the right direction.
Without a question, Dan. It's funny because the last couple of weeks on the Even Money Betting podcast, I've had back-to-back pro bettors that really like the Lions. That number, last time I checked, I think it was 6.5. That's not that small of a number. I certainly think the Lions will be much better than they were last year. I think that number is probably just about right, but I like the idea of them winning 7 and 8 more than I do 5 or 6. So I would certainly lean to the over for the Lions.
Let me take you over to the Eagles here. How good do you think the Eagles are going to be in 2022?
Well, we know what they did last year. The owner said it was a transition year, and they made the playoffs. Transition year, first year starter at quarterback in Jalen Hurts, and they made the playoffs. Now you add to that on defense, Hassan Reddick, 21 and a half sacks the last 2 years. Jordan Davis, who I don't know we've ever seen a guy like him, just an absolute monster. And then at the linebacker level, the Chargers leading tackler, Kaiser White. They obviously got Nakobe Dean. Then to get, James Bradbury to play corner opposite Darius Slay. And then the biggest move of all, obviously, was the trade for A.J. Brown. They are significantly improved in a lot of areas. I think most people would agree that the Cowboys probably aren't as good as they were. It's hard to argue they could be, right? I mean, they lose Amari Cooper, Lyle Collins, Randy Gregory. They're not better. I mean, maybe their record will be better, but they're not better on paper. And so I think the Eagles have a great chance to win that division. To me, those teams are going to be neck and neck, which is not what it was like last year at all.
Tell me why, when I look at A.J. Brown's numbers, I have to use the word elite, and I'm paying him elite money when in 3 years, 61 catches, 998, 7 touchdowns he's averaged in a run-prominent offense. There's no doubt that's a Derrick Henry offense. He's coming to the same situation, the number one rushing attack in Philadelphia. Why should I, Ross, should I expect bigger numbers than what he did in Tennessee? Because it's almost the identical kind of scenario here, except the quarterback in Philly is more responsible for the running attack. And I'm wondering, what kind of targets is he going to get? How do you see that meshing with him in Philly?
I don't think you should expect bigger numbers. I think the Eagles are paying for exactly the numbers they just got. And if you think, I know you're totaling the numbers, but the Eagles being close to that organization, doing their preseason games on TV, for them, it's all about efficiency. You look, and I think he's, don't quote me on this, but he's something like top 5 yards per target.
Correct.
His yards after the catch number is phenomenal. He might be top 5 there as well.
Top 5 in the red zone too, Ross.
Yeah, I think the Eagles just realize that, number one, they want to know for sure what they have in Jalen Hurts at the end of this year, right? So they don't want to have the end of the year. Jalen Hurts plays pretty well, but all he really has as a receiver is Devontae Smith. So How do you know how much better he could be if he had a number one? Well, no, that's out now. And he's the perfect fit for their offense because the in-breaking routes off of the RPOs, that's his specialty, man. You put the ball in the belly of the running back. You pull it. Is Jalen Hurts taking around the corner, or is he throwing that backside slant to A.J. Brown? They're going to put a lot of safeties and a lot of weak side linebackers into a major, major bind this year.
Ross, do you think when you look at the way that Jalen Hurts has to put numbers up and plus wins, maybe win the division here, do you agree on July 14th, Howie Roseman made that deal pre-draft with the Saints to pick a quarterback in 2023 unless Jalen Hurts can prove otherwise? Do you think that's the mentality? See, I don't think, Ross, that he traded with the Saints to trade for a safety or to draft a safety. I think that that's hedging his bets a little bit. You got 2 ones next year, and you got 7 guys potentially that could go in the first round. Do you think right now that place, the NovaCare Center, is like, Jalen, you have to show us that you're the guy or we're going to draft somebody next year?
Yeah, so I think you use the word hedging their bets. I'll use the word optionality. I think they did that trade, number one, because it was an amazing trade. I have no idea why the Saints did that trade.
Agreed.
I mean, the Saints gave up a lot for the 16th pick. To give up a 3, a 2, next year's 1 for the 16th overall pick. And then they gave up the 4 and a 5 to go up to 11 to get Olave. I mean, they gave up a ton to get Chris Olave, but that's a whole other story with the Saints. As for the Eagles, it's optionality, Sileo. It's just giving them more options. Because remember, there's several teams that have 2 first-round picks next year, and all of them might be in the market for a quarterback. So really, it's about the Eagles being one of those teams in the mix and giving themselves the options should Hurts falter. Ultimately, though, it's sort of a sliding scale, right? How well does Hurts play? What other veteran quarterbacks are available? And then what's available in the draft? You can't answer that now. It depends on all those things. I laugh, right? Like Seahawks fans, Sileo, I don't know if you know this, okay? But the Seahawks are going to be bad this year. Then they're going to draft the next Russell Wilson. They're going to be awesome for the next 15 years. Seahawks fans think it's that easy. It's that just have one bad year, draft the next Russell Wilson, everything will be okay. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, the Miami Dolphins. I think the last year Marino played was 2000. They're still looking. A couple last questions for you here, Ross. I mean, let me take you on one last question about the Eagles here. When you look at all the one-year deals that they have, and tell me what you think their window is of success. I know a lot of young guys we're starting to see on the team. Bradbury, 1-year deal. The White deal is there's an option to get out of that, I think, after the first year. Hargraves deals 1 year. Fletcher's on a 1-year deal. How many years do you think you got Lane Johnson left? 2, 3? Kelsey's retiring. There's a lot of 1-year prove-it deals here in Philadelphia. And the way that the team is constructed, how do you think Howie has constructed this team?
Really, really well. Because you mentioned Hargrave and Fletcher Cox. I'm sure they'd love to extend Hargrave, but the 2 guys behind them, Jordan Davis and Milton Williams, can play. And
Ross, I like this guy, Milton Williams, man.
Yes.
I mean, I think he's
good. D tackles. D tackles. This kid's good. I'm telling you. He didn't get a ton of snaps last year. He will this year. He's going to be a factor. So I think the Eagles look at it like they only needed Fletcher Cox for 1 more year.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens with Hargrave because they have Milton Williams and they have Jordan Davis. Even Kaiser White, they drafted Nakobe Dean. So they might not need Kaiser White that long. You mentioned Bradbury. They have stockpiled young corners. I mean, they've made more trades of late-round picks for guys that are young guys at corner. There's like 5 of them they're going to see this year if one of those guys has it and can replace Bradbury next year. I think they're doing a really good job, honestly, of balancing the present with the future. And the thing about the NFC is it's not like the AFC, right? Like the NFC, there is some scenario, right? There's some there where the Eagles go a long way in the playoffs. The Bucs will be up there. We know that. Packers probably taking a step back.
Rams.
No Devontae Adams. The Rams don't appear to me to be a team that's going to win it back to back. So then who are we talking about now? Now you're talking about the Eagles being in the mix.
Absolutely here. Jimmy G question. I threw something out a couple days ago, Ross, and it got hammered by people because I was talking to Bruce Arians. He was on our show a couple months ago, and I was talking to him about prior to Tom Brady, they were looking at veteran quarterbacks. And I was talking to Bruce, and they were thinking about potentially Jimmy Garoppolo while Brady unretires. That just makes the perfect sense for me to sit behind because he's not going to be ready for the opening part of the week. I had heard he started throwing a couple weeks ago. A guy from The Athletic said and confirmed it yesterday that he has been throwing. Where does Garoppolo land in your opinion? I mean, here's a guy, if you put the playoff record in, he's 38-16, and Kyle Shanahan 7-28 without him, Ross. I mean, it's this kid, he's not elite. I get it. But you can win with elite in this league and get to the Super Bowl.
It's a really interesting situation because there's not a team right now that you would look and say they should clearly trade, other than the Seahawks, who aren't going to do it. I thought he would end up in Carolina. I thought if I was Matt Rule, I'd rather roll with Jimmy G
Me too.
than Baker Mayfield. That's what I thought was going to happen. It's obviously not what happened. I think if you're the Niners, they'd probably rather take this thing as far as they can go, meaning maybe the Houston Texans, after 3 or 4 games, say, Davis Mills isn't going to cut it. The problem with that is, on the one hand, I don't think the Niners want to guarantee Jimmy G's $24.2 million salary by having him on the roster week 1. On the other hand, if they know they're going to trade him by the trade deadline, they know they're not paying that whole thing and that whoever trades for him will take it. So they might be the team, Sileo, that waits for an injury, that waits for somebody else to stink up the joint the first few weeks and then unloads him. Because who else are you going to get at this point?
No, you're not getting anybody. All right, Ross, front page of myfrontpagestory.com. What is Ross Tucker working on? Where are you focused right now?
Well, so it's the best gift, Sileo, you can give anybody. You got to go there. It's for your mom. It's for your wife. It's for your dad for his birthday. Maybe it's for your anniversary. These are people that never get stories written about them, right? This way, you talk to a writer. You tell the writer how awesome your wife is, how awesome your mom is. They write the most unbelievable story. It looks like it's framed. It's beautiful. So it looks like it's on the front page of the newspaper. They absolutely love it. I've seen them. They cry when they read it. They see the quotes from you. It's amazing. Make sure you write it down right now. Next gift you need to give a loved one, go to myfrontpagestory.com.
So it's like a testament, and it's framed like you want to have somebody, you want to do a story on someone that's a loved one.
Nobody knows what to get their wife or mom anymore, right? Like you get them flowers or like a gift card. It just gets old, man. Give them something that they will hang up in their house. Like my mom did. My sister and I got one for my mom when she turned 70. It's amazing. She looks at it every day. It's right in her kitchen. It's like the gift that keeps on giving. myfrontpagestory.com.
Absolutely. And don't forget the Ross Tucker football podcast. You can get all the information on when Ross does his podcast and all the other stuff like myfrontpagestory.com at Ross Tucker NFL. Dude, thank you so much for finding time. I so know you're swamped and you're always awesome to me. Thank you, Ross.
Of course, Sileo. I'm glad we can make it happen. Thanks for having me.
You got it. Ross Tucker, man. Don't forget, again, like I said, the Ross Tucker football podcast. Go to it and watch it. He's one of our favorite people. Appreciate him coming aboard with us. Please hit the like button. Don't forget my friends at Morgan & Morgan. If you're hurt or injured ever on the job, there is only one law firm that you can use that's going to get you your fair compensation, and that is Morgan & Morgan. For the people is not a slogan. It is what they do. For the past 30 years, they have collected over $13.5 billion worth of compensation for their clients. There is no such thing as a small case at Morgan & Morgan. With their attorneys of 800 strong, the biggest firm in the country, they're ready to do battle for you. The call is free. The consultation is free. 800-512-1600. That's 800-512-1600. Open 24/7, 7 days a week. And when you go to Morgan & Morgan, you tell them Big Sil sent you.
When choosing a lawyer for your injury case, you may ask, does the size of the law firm matter? Well, of course it does. The insurance company, they're huge with unlimited resources. And whether your case is big or small, they're built to bully you out of the money you're owed. But here's the good news. We're big too, the biggest actually. And we're built to fight to make them pay for all that was taken from you. Size is our strength. There's only one Morgan & Morgan. ForThePeople.com.